We're going to do a video here about the Wincom EAP, specifically how you download it, execute it, and administer it. So we're going to start off in the Wincom App Cloud. Every customer we have has a login to this. It allows them to show what apps they've got, and it also allows them to go to the deployment areas and download external apps and Wincom apps. In this case, we're going to download the Wincom dashboard, which we're going to use as a little demonstration. So EAPs are single jar files that will execute on any server. All the server needs is to have the Java available to it. There's no database, there's nothing else like this. This particular case, I'm going to execute one just using a command line, but we might set it up as a Windows service or as a Unix service. In this specific case, you can see that I've just got the single jar file here. I'm not using any arguments, but we could specify a port file, so we could run multiple applications on this single machine. We can also connect it using different arguments to different Windchills. So therefore we can have lots of different EAPs connected to different Windchills. Once it runs, we can go to the browser and we can access the now running server on my machine. And as you can see, it will bring up our demo example. It's now as a administration user. The reason for this is I want to show you the standard features. Obviously, we can log on and see graphs and all the things you're used to out of the application, but we also have access to the configuration area. Before I do that, I'm just going to make a couple of extra queries. You'll see why later on in the demonstration. So I'm just going to do a 3-month query. I'm going to do a 1-month query, 1-year query, sorry. And now we're going to go to the configuration side of things. So this is our configuration panel, only available to the administrators, and it gives them some basic information about what server we're connected to, what versions we're running. We can at this point download configurations, we can change styling, we can change the background, we can change the logo, but we also have access to a whole series of things that tells us about the status of the system. So the first thing is who's logged on and who last logged on, and you can see here I've got various logons just happened here, 3 different administration logons, and also you can see that I'm currently logged onto the system. This will be useful later on when we get to the hot load features. We have logs which help us to debug if there's issues we need to do this, and then we also have these new features which are basically helping us to understand how our EAP is communicating to our Windchill server. We're monitoring all of the calls that are being made, and we're monitoring exactly how many calls have been made and exactly how long it took to make each call. As you can see in this particular case, we've done some various tests on this server already, and we've done various calls, so we have 11 different queries, and you can see the various results of those queries. We have some test pages to help us understand if our server is configured correctly, and also to install things like HTTPS certificates. We have a configuration page that will help us to reload and load up the server. So this is important to us, so we're trying to avoid any Windchill interaction. You simply need to install one app on the Windchill server. Once you've done that, then everything should work. We have documentation and downloads to help our administrators configure things like Windows services. Going back briefly to this page, it is interesting to note we have a brand new feature called the hot load feature, which is controlled by the Web App Manager. This feature is useful because it allows us to instantly update the system. So imagine we have a new version available on our App Cloud. We download that new version. Once the new version is downloaded, we have a new jar file. And simply what we have to do is drag the jar file over onto the update. Before we do that, we have to access this with administration credentials. This is important, obviously. We get the new jar file available to us here. We drag it onto the system, and you'll see what happens here is it takes a few minutes, a few seconds in fact, to upload. Once it's uploaded, and the system will automatically restart, and we have our new version available. So you can see it's asked us to log back in again. It will have momentarily interrupted the users, but apart from that, it's an ideal way to very quickly allow us to improve the way we deliver to our customers, and also to iterate fast on changes and improvements we're making to these applications. Thanks for listening.